Right, folks, it's been about 7 weeks, so it's about time I updated you, isn't it? So it's been from the 24th of October to the 12th of December. So as you can see, my portfolio has made 0.38% since then, and the Life Strategy 100 is at 0.48, and then the other two with bonds in it, they're a little bit lower. So since the beginning of my accounting year, on the 6th of October, I'm up 2.4 compared to 2.42 for the Life Strategy 100, and then just a little bit ahead of the other two. And then here's the disclaimer that we have every video. My return since 2017 has been horrific at 49% compared to these three higher numbers for the others. So yeah, same old story. Don't follow me, do your own thing. What has been happening? So the first thing is the dividends we've had in the 7 weeks, about £2,000, £2,084, and we're only projecting a 1.28% increase so far this year. It's not looking too great, but yeah, well, I'll come to that. See where that 0.38% performance came from. Just have a quick look here. So Glaxo had a good 7 weeks, so did Barclays, so did UPS. And then the bad ones were the renewables. Obviously there's that talk about using CPI inflation instead of RPI for the government contracts for difference, I think is the right term. I can't remember the exact terms. And then also there's some stuff we'll get into later. Regional REIT's done badly, but UPS has done good. And then if we go to the trading 212 obviously we know Google did well, that's been in the news. Meta did badly, Microsoft did badly. Well, anyway, there's the numbers for you to see for yourself. Murray International is killing it. Gets me a little bit worried, to be honest. I feel like Murray International has had a good run, and that has caused, if we look here when it loads, we're now at a 1.32% premium to net asset value. And I can only imagine this is just because it's had a good few years, Murray International has. And people are starting to recognise that it's had a good few years. And, you know, that's probably when it all falls apart. Who knows? So I don't know, a little bit uncomfortable with it being at a premium when I could put the money into another global sort of income focused one. Scottish American is at a 9.57% discount. So I feel like I should put. I feel like I've got this urge to rebalance into it, but I'm kind of limited by the yield because Murray International's yield has come down because the share price has done well, but it's still a lot higher than Scottish American there. You can see 3.07 versus 3.68. So yeah, a bit reluctant to do that really. So I don't know. I'm fully expecting this discount to come back out again because we can see here's the premium discount. I would imagine it would come back down to 5% at some point. So some of the gains we've had here on it are probably going to come back within the next couple of months, I would imagine. But I think I've decided just to let it happen. I'm going to let it carry on because a similar thing has just recently happened with Scottish Mortgage. In the last few days, there's been a big boost to the share price in Scottish Mortgage, 5.38% last week. And if we look at the premium and discount for this one, it's now only at 5.59% according to Hargreaves Lansdown. And if we look at the chart, we can see it there, the discount's just gone in. And it's all because SpaceX, which is the top holding of Scottish Mortgage, it's about 8% of Scottish Mortgage. There's been rumours about them IPOing next year for 1.5 billion. Oh no, hang on, no, 1.5 trillion, what am I talking about? Which is like twice its book value at the moment. So obviously Scottish Mortgage having a big holding in it, people have gone out and bought Scottish Mortgage, and I feel like this isn't going to last either. I feel like that is an over. Since it's only 8% of the fund, this is completely wrong. By the way, look here it says 3%. That's not right. It's about 8%. If it doubled, that's only 4% extra. So why has the share price gone up by 5.38%? And actually, some of the rumours happened earlier. So I don't know, maybe we could see a lot of this as being part of it as well. But yeah, so that's another one where I feel like this little boost we've had recently probably isn't going to last. But I don't think I'm going to make any changes based on these feelings. I think I'm just gonna expect the discounts to come back out again, and the really high numbers we've got here, 45 grand we're at nearly here on Murray International, and Scottish Mortgage is back to where it was a few months ago. Yeah, I'm just going to let it happen. And I've had a little bit of a flurry of activity recently. So on the 12th of November, I trimmed a bit of Barclays and put it into Legal and General. It's really just because I did a little bit of I kind of looked ahead and gave a very rough estimate of what the dividend increases might be for the rest of this year. That's where the year ends, by the way. And it's got pretty bad. It's not much of an increase based on my estimates. So I think I needed to do a few little moves just to boost this year's income, because obviously towards the tail end of last year I did a load of moves where it purposely reduced my income. So I kind of I don't need to, but I feel like I want to undo some of those to a certain extent and go from lower yielders to higher yielders. Because this 1.28% that started at the beginning of the year, the estimate started as being negative, like -1% or something, because of all the moves I did reducing my yield last year. So yeah, like I say, we're already a couple of months into the year, and I'm only 1.28% up, and that includes some of these estimates here already have this year's increase built in, because obviously some of the trusts, they announce a dividend increase once a year, so then I factor it in for the other 3 of the year. So yeah, even though we're only a couple of months into the year, my estimate for how the dividend is going to grow isn't too great. That's a little preamble to these really. That was part of why I was kind of motivated to make this move. A little trim of Barclays, put it into Legal and General. As we can see here, the differential in the yields is why. Because Barclays is only a 2% yielder and Legal and General is 5.22. Obviously that's with me only keeping 60% of it though, because I want it to grow. So that's why I reinvest 40% of it. Oh yeah, there was this debacle with Hickle, which is there was announced in that RNS that was linked there. They announced a merger between Hickle Infrastructure, which is just a general infrastructure fund, and they wanted they and Trig wanted to merge, and they were going to merge on an NAV to NAV basis. So what happened is, we can see in the chart here, it doesn't really show properly there, but as we can see, this was announced on, well, let's have a look, 17th of November. Yeah, so that's the day, you see? And you can see the charts, how they change. So the blue line of Hickle goes down a load, the yellow line of Trig goes up a load. And the reason for that is because on that day, so like the trading day before, the Friday, the discount to NAV of Trig was in the region of 35%, whereas the discount to NAV of Hickle was sort of like low 20% discount to NAV, I think. So even though they wanted to do an NAV to NAV matching merger, actually the market sentiment compared to the NAV for each trust was very different. There was like a 15 percentage point difference in the discount to NAV. So obviously, so what that does is, it means if the sentiment to one of them is 20% below NAV and the sentiment to the other is below 35% NAV, obviously the prospect of a merged company is going to be somewhere in between, isn't it? So what happened is the discount to NAV in percentage terms went to roughly the same on this day. So from there to there, that discount went to roughly the same, because that makes sense, doesn't it? You know, if that's the sentiment of the two parts are differentiated, then the merger will be somewhere in between. So that's what happened. But obviously that's a bad deal, because Hickle's obviously got better sentiment than Trig. So the Hickle shareholders kicked up a fuss and said, no, we're not having this. And basically it got cancelled because too many of the Hickle shareholders kicked up a fuss. So obviously that's what happened here. It all went back to normal, except it didn't just go back to normal for Trig. As you can see, the yellow line's gone even lower than it was before. So yeah, all a fuss about nothing. But yeah, it whiffs of dodginess though, because these two trusts are run by the same company. The managers, I think it's Infrared or something. Yeah, they both run it, and Trig has a continuation vote at some point coming up. I can't remember exactly when. So like the sceptical amongst us believe that they're trying to avoid the continuation vote, because if the vote said no, we need to end this company, then obviously they lose a load of management fees because they don't have the assets to manage anymore. So it's like they were trying to. It was like they were playing sneaky games to save their business, or save half of their business. I don't know how much other work they have. But yeah, so that all got cancelled. But yeah, I mean, it's, I was happy to own before that merger was announced, and happy to carry on now as well, to be honest. Yeah, so that was that little bit of drama. Oh, and I was kicking myself, because this graph probably doesn't show it properly, but on I don't know what time it was here, but like just as the market opened in England, I think it's 3 p.m. for me here in Thailand. Just as the market opened, Trig was up like 11% or something, and Hickel was down by a similar amount. And as I looked at it, the discount to NAVs were literally the same, and I was so close to switching from Trig to Hickel. I was really so close. I don't know what stopped me. I just didn't in the end, and literally like half an hour later, that this drop and fall in the share price really tempered a lot, because what we're seeing here, I think, is just one data point a day. It doesn't show the intraday. It doesn't show like the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes of trading. But if it did, that yellow line would go higher, and that blue line would probably, I can't remember what happened to the blue line, to be honest, the Hickel one. But yeah, I was so close. Oh, so that's that. Right, so the next thing that happened was on the 23rd of November, Joseph Carlson, he sold Booking.com. So I just followed. And I don't know exactly what he did, but I've written here that I have made similar use of the proceeds, although I've written proceeds for some reason. And I put 300 quid into Amazon and 330 into MasterCard. I think it made a pretty decent profit, Booking.com. It was definitely a profit I sold for. I don't know how much though. I don't really keep track of those small holdings. So I've got a bigger holding in MasterCard now and Amazon. It's just like these two. These two are like companies that have been doing pretty well fundamentally, like in the businesses, but the share prices haven't done much for quite a while. So that was the thinking of Joseph Carlson, and yeah, I liked his thinking, so I followed him in doing similar things. It's a bit weird though, because I've been using Booking.com a lot recently because I'm in Asia, and in Asia I find that hotels booked on Booking.com tend to be cheaper than Airbnbs. So I don't know, I don't like selling. It's a bit weird selling something when I'm like using it literally every month. I'm buying, and even my flights tend to be cheapest on Booking.com as well. So yeah, I've been buying. My last 3 flights I think have all been on Booking.com, and my last 3 places to stay as well. So I don't know, it's a bit weird. Who knows? I don't really make these decisions myself. I just kind of follow people. That's just the RNS telling us that the merger's off. What have I done here? Oh yeah, on the 2nd of December, Google had a really good run, and it got to a stage where in my trading 212 pie, Google was about 20%, and then I had like 3 holdings that were like between 13 and 14%, and it just felt like Google had such a good run that maybe it's time for one of the others too. So it was a bit top heavy. So it was like there was like 2,600. So I've top sliced Google. How much did I take out? Yeah, I took 400 out and put another 400 into MasterCard. And at the time that put MasterCard there in 5th. And it was just below Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft in the leaderboard. And obviously now it's overtaken those two because it's had a good little run last week. Actually, MasterCard has. So who knows? Maybe that's a good sign that I've topped it up at a good time. But yeah, that's what I did on the 2nd of December. And then on the 5th of December, it was just a straight swap, just a what's it called, housekeeping, getting more of my money out of the general investment account in Trading 212 and into the ISA. So I sold £4,000 worth of Barclays and then bought it back within the ISA on the 5th. NESF had some sort of broker downgraded its debt or something on the 8th of December. So NESF had a big drop in its share price. So I took the opportunity just to take the last little bit of Gore Street Energy that I had in the Trading 212 invest account. I sold that and then put it into NESF within the ISA for Trading 212, and that used my last the last bit of my ISA allowance. So I've fully used that now. Although at the time I did have £2,000 left in my ISA, in my IRA ISA, so that was still usable. It's just because it cost £5 to buy something in iWeb. I prefer to let it build up before I do it, so that it's not a big percentage of the buy. And then on the 9th, this is part of my trying to boost my income. I mean, this is already factored in, but I sold the last £2,000 worth, 2050, at Barclays, and I used this £2,000 I talk about here that was in the iWeb ISA. I used that and I put it into the World Tracker. So at the same time, because I was adding to it in the iWeb ISA, I decided to do my switch from VWRP to ACWI, which has lower fees. So that it's gone from a 0.22% fee to a 0.12% fee. It tracks a slightly different index, but it's similar enough. So it was a mistake to go into VWRP in the first place. I should have just gone for the lower cost one to begin with, to be honest. But anyway, I did it now because I was adding to it. It saved me £5, but obviously it's going to have cost me a little bit in the spread of the two ETFs. But just take the cost of that now, and then in the future, in the long term, it'll be made up for, because 0.1% percentage point a year cheaper. The spread that I've just lost is going to be less than that. So hopefully within a year, ACWI will outperform. Although it's hard to predict that because they are slightly different indexes. So who knows? VWRP isn't for sure going to underperform ACWI, but it's the likelihood, I think. Yeah, so I put £2,000 into there, and as I put it in, obviously for this one, I just decide how much I'm going to sell of it each quarter. So what I decided to put it in as was a 3% yield. Obviously, I think at the time it was 3.15% for the holding I used to have. So it has lowered this yield slightly, although as you can see, it's gone up again because prices have gone down a little bit. But putting it in at 3% is obviously 1 percentage point higher than the Barclays I sold. So it's boosted my income by about £20 a year. And as you can see there, we've now only got this small VWRP holding, which is in the LISA, I think, or maybe the SIP, I can't remember. But yeah, we've just got that small holding of VWRP. It'd be nice just to tidy up this spreadsheet, really, wouldn't it? Just sell it for the sake of this spreadsheet having one line there instead of two. Well, yeah, so that's a little boost to income, but like I say, that's already built in here. So yeah, there's no good news to come there. It's already built into this spreadsheet. Another part of the reason for that was what I've written here, my blue play. So if I highlight the percentages here of the blue section, which is me playing around, it's now 15.64. It was above 16% when I did that, so I figured it was a little bit high, and probably about time I moved something out of it and into something that I don't just choose myself. So obviously now my NatWest holding now is quite a bit bigger than my Barclays. So obviously Sod's Law means that Barclays is just going to outperform from now on, isn't it? It already has, to be fair. It's already shot up quite a bit in the past few days. Oh yeah, here's me saying what I've just said. Because of some of those moves, this is what's now left in taxable accounts. So it's just getting smaller and smaller. There's 2 fewer rows. Within a couple of years, this should disappear completely, and everything will be in tax shelters. So it's kind of nice to see progress on this. So obviously I've passed my spending accounting time point now. So we can see here that for the year 24 to 25, which runs to the 3rd of November, slightly different to how I account for my income and my investing and stuff. But I can see here that in that year I spent £11,291. So yes, as usual, I mean the target I had at the beginning of the year is shown here, and I gave myself £12,486 to spend. That was my budget, and obviously I've beaten it by £1,194. So yeah, good news. I haven't spent much money. And if we look at this year's budget so far, I budgeted for, well, here's the original budget here. Go lower down. I've just added 6% to the one above, so 25-26 here. Budgeting for 13,235, and I've accounted for one. I've put 1 month's real data in there, and I'm already down. I've already spent £539 less. I mean, part of this is that I accounted for this period being in England, and I've now booked my stay in England, and it's £400 cheaper than budget. So that's part of why I'm already beating my budget. So I like that feeling. And you know what? I am doing better. I am spending more money. I'm getting nicer food. Instead of just going for the cheap meal, sometimes I'm like opting for the like nicer, bigger meal. I've just booked not just on the I think it was the 24th of November or something. It'll show on the screen the date when I booked it. For some reason in Vietnam, which is the place I'm going to next in January, when you book it on Booking.com, you can't just pay for it. You just have to book it and pay them in person, which is a pain in the arse, really. Because most of the time they don't take MasterCard or Visa or anything, which is very annoying, and it ends up costing you more money, so you have to factor it in. I ended up just paying cash last time I was there, so I think I'll end up having to do the same, although I think I will try, because I think in this app that I've shown you on the screen there, Revolut, you can, I think, pay directly into people's bank accounts, so I'll give that a go. But otherwise I might end up having to spend like a £5 or something to get the cash out and pay them in cash. But obviously because you do that, there's a currency risk in the time between your booking and actually going there. So as you can see in the app now, what I've done is I've put the money into the app, and I've been able to hold dong, Vietnamese dong, in the app. So I've done the currency exchange in the moment, so that there's no risk of it going up. Although I think, to be fair, if I check on my computer here, I've got a feeling it's actually so far moved against me. I think it was the 24th of November. Maybe it was December. Yeah, it's gone against me. Oh no, that's annoying. So I'm like almost 2% in the 2% worse off so far. But yeah, there's a couple of weeks. Yeah, there's 3 weeks. Yeah, about 3 weeks. So who knows? It could end up being a good thing. To be fair, I should still be rooting for this to go up anyway, because I think I've still got money to spend when I get there, haven't I? So actually, I should be rooting for it to keep going higher. All that will do is it will make it a bad choice to use Revolut how I have here. But I'll still be better off because the money I'm spending when I get there will be worth more. So yeah, I should actually. Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? Do I want to prove my decision right to do the exchange earlier, or do I want to actually be better off overall, which I would be if this carried on going up? Yeah, I think it was November the 24th. So yeah, I'm definitely losing out so far. Yeah, but that's good. That is good. I need to forget that thought process, because it is better that it goes up. Because I'll probably spend £300 a month anyway that I haven't exchanged yet. Okay, good. I've talked myself down from a ledge there. Okay, cool. Well, that's all my finance stuff. For the dedicated followers, here's some pictures. Where is this? This is Kuala Lumpur. Just a little river I walked around near the Airbnb. Have I shown these last time? Can't remember. I bought a new bag. Where's the next picture? Yeah, so it's 690 grams, So that has, compared to the bag I got rid of, it saved me about 350 grams, I think. And part of it is because I cut all this crap out of it. I don't know why every bag you look at has to have about a million different compartments. And then I'm in Asia, so it's like 7 kilograms. So that 300 grams, I think it's about 350 grams I've saved. It does make a difference because if I weigh all of my stuff, I have to put a few things in my pockets. And now it's considerably easier to just put a couple of things in my pockets and I'm down to 7 kilograms. And you know what? I've never been checked, but I've seen other people get checked, and I saw one guy getting fined. That's probably not the word. Getting charged for extra baggage, and it's way more expensive. If you get caught out, it's way more expensive than like paying for an extra bag before you go. So I'm a bit of an anxious guy anyway. So even if I'm never going to get checked for the rest of my life, it's worthwhile me getting myself down to 7 kilograms just for the lower anxiety levels as I'm getting on the plane. So there we go. That's why I bought that new bag and cut all of that crap out from it. This is just me leaving Kuala Lumpur on the way to Thailand. I went to Patong, which is in Phuket. This is me getting on the taxi. The hotel I booked with Booking.com came with a free taxi. I never get taxis because I'm way too tight-fisted, and I just don't like the whole process and like having to negotiate with the taxi drivers and being worried about getting ripped off. I'd much prefer just to get buses and stuff, even though I have no clue what I'm doing. But yeah, so this came with a free taxi, and I really like the car. It's an Isuzu. Oh, it's M, and then another letter dash something. It was really. I've seen lots of them since as well. I really liked the feel of the car. I liked how it felt when you were driving. I liked the look of the interior. It was nice and quiet. Quite a big car. I don't know. I really liked it. I've seen loads of them since I got here in Thailand. I think these pictures are out of order because that was after this is me landing in Phuket. I liked the look of all the little are they islands or just rocks? I don't know why the taxi pictures before the landing pictures. And this is just as we're landing, or maybe we've landed already. And this is me after like a really long taxi journey. It was really busy. The roads were. I'm just waiting for the hotel fella to come because it was quite late. And then a few days later, was it maybe? The beach in Patong. I never go in the water. I quite like walking along the beach, but I never go in the water. And occasionally, I might just take my socks and shoes off and just get my feet wet. But that's about as far as I go. It was a nice place, but a bit of like a party town, really. But I'm always at home before all that starts anyway. I don't like going out at night. And another day, some more photos of the sea. And this is me leaving Patong, 6:30 in the morning. This is what I said earlier about it being a party town. 6:30 in the morning, I'm leaving, sitting on the bus waiting, and people are all coming home from their nights out the night before with bottles of beer and stuff. Luckily, it didn't affect me at all, any of this, because my hotel was a nice little, just the perfect distance, up here somewhere. You can see the mountains there at the back, or the hills. And I'm just a nice distance away from it all, but close enough to come and walk quite easily along the beach during the day to exercise. And that's me waiting on the bus again. And this is where I'm sat right now. My mum asked me to send me a picture of what I see out the window, and that's what I see out the window. Oh, this is Chiang Mai. That's where I am now. I left Patong, came to Chiang Mai. The place where I am now doesn't come with a kettle, so I purchased a kettle. I knew that beforehand, but all of the other places that did have a kettle and did have a fridge were way more expensive. It's way cheaper just to spend a £5 on a kettle and throw it away at the end. So that's the kettle I bought for my stay here in Chiang Mai for 31 nights, I think I'm here. And that's the first meal I had when I got to Chiang Mai. random little walk I went on, and I came across this little river, and we're back to the start. There we go, there's all the photos. Alright, I think that's it then, isn't it? I guess I'll see you next time. Bye bye.